Welcome to the workshop. I'd like to go over some basics that should sound familiar to you, hopefully, and this way we'll all be on the same page more or less. So when I start working with a dog, the first thing, if they're a puppy or a rescue or whatever you're working with, is I start with obedience. I start developing a relationship with this dog and teaching them what I want them to do. I want them to sit, I want them to recall, I want them to lie down, I want them to heel. So we get all those on our dogs very strong, very high reinforcement history. And then we move on to, well, now that we've got this strong behavior, how can we distract you? Can we, is this in the environment going to bother you? How about that? And can you stay hooked up to me when other things go on in the environment? Once that's a nice, strong behavior, in fact, we might get out a tug and move it. For herding dogs, that can just blow their mind. So we work on those type of things with distraction. Can you listen to me when something is moving in your vision? After they can do that and they can respond fluently, we move on to engagement. Now, can you listen to me while you're watching something else in the environment? Because that's what you're going to have to do when you herd. You're going to be paying attention to the sheep or the cattle or the ducks, and you have to be listening to your handler. So this is a really important skill, and that's the next step after distraction. Once we've got that, where we can send the dog out to a tug that we've thrown, have them stop, lie down, stand, then go get the tug and bring it back, then we work on the herding skills. And as you can tell, I'm big into tugging. I also like flirt pull work. So those have to be taught along the way too. In the herding skills, we just start with the basics. We're going to teach the flanks, which are the ways the dog circles in each direction. Because in order for a dog to herd, what they really need to do is circle in each direction, stop, and walk in when you ask them to. If your dog can do that, they can get a lot done with stock. I mean, there's a lot more you can teach them, but those are kind of the basics, so that's what we're going to focus on. And once we've taught those skills away from livestock, then we start moving all these skills. And you don't have to wait until your dog knows their herding skills. But as soon as you have your dog really engaged with you, then you can start moving that engagement close to livestock. Can they do that with sheep in the distance? Can they do that with sheep in a pen? Can they do that next to sheep in a pen? So once you have these skills in place, you move all of them closer and closer to livestock. But you start with the engagement skills. Can my dog get close to sheep in a pen and take treats? Can they tug? So those are the things that we start, and I call the basics. And once your dog can do that, if they can sit, if they can recall off a stock, well, now you can introduce your herding skills around pen livestock. And that takes a little bit of time, and for some dogs that takes a lot of time. But eventually you will get them to respond and be fluent. And once you have that in place, you can release the stock. And one of the things about having the stock in a small pen is that your dog doesn't have to control the stock. And for dogs that have herding instinct, movement of the stock means they need to control that. And so by putting them in a small pen, the stock, your dog doesn't have to worry about that. They know the stock can't get away from them. And most of the time, just the smell and the sight of the stock is plenty of distraction for them. So once you get on to loose stock, then stockmanship really enters into it. And that's a whole nother can of worms. It's really interesting. And I like to teach this by having you move the stock, which we are going to do. But stockmanship is kind of a lost art, but it's a very important art, and that you want to have your dog move the stock very kindly and gently, just as you would want your dog to be treated. You don't want them running the stock into fences or biting them or running them around. So stockmanship just means we're going to handle the stock just as kindly as we can. So once we have loose stock, then we work on the basics. We're flanking, and those become your your gather, these little flanks become longer and longer and go around. The dog brings the stock and they drive the stock to you, and we work on them being able to drive the stock away from you and then cross drive so that they can drive in front of you in either direction. And once your dog can do that, well, they can really handle stock and do a lot of good, either at a trial or, if you're just doing it on your own place for your own stock. And then there's, of course, the advanced things like penning, shedding, and holding stock. So penning, you're just putting the stock into a small area that's a trap, and they know it, so they don't really want to go. So that takes certain skills. Your dog has to stay out on their flanks. They can't cut in because they can't cheat or the stock will get away from you. And in penning and shedding, those are really teamwork, you and your dog. And shedding is just where you have, so many head and you need to cut some of those off and move them, take them somewhere else, pen them. And that takes a lot of skill. Your dog has to come to you when you say cut. They need to come into you really quick and make the shed. And they're the ones that actually divide the stock. You may make a hole, but you step back and you let your dog come in and take control of the stock and drive them off. And then another advanced thing is a hold. Let's say you're feeding stock in some kind of a bunk, you're feeding grain, and if you carry in a bucket, they're going to step all over your feet, knock you down. You can put your dog out maybe in a gateway and have them keep the stock out of the area where you're feeding, and the dog is free to get up and move, but they have to hold the stock out there. And once they move to get the stock stopped, then they just stay there and maintain that kind of an invisible gate that they are until you release them. So that's a real quick look at the basics and the overview, and that's kind of where everybody will be at a different place, but that gives you an idea where we're starting, where we're going, where we hope to end up. All right, thanks. Sir's going to help us with the basic herding skills, which are your flanks, circling. The traditional cues are come by for clockwise, away to me for counterclockwise or anti-clockwise. Think of it from above, always from above like you're in a drone. And then there's the stop and the walk in. So first we're going to do the flanks. There's two ways to do each of these. In fact, there's lots of ways, but these are the two I'm going to cover. And we'll try these and we can always adapt them for your dog. So the first one is the static, which is what I teach in the book, Positive Herding 101, which is you teach the cue first and then you start the dog moving. And the other way we're going to teach it, which I found to be, I think, easier, is to get the dog moving and then add the cue. So we'll show you the first part of the static. Good boy. Okay. Can you go back? Back. Back. Sir. Back. Back. Come here. Attaboy. Oh my gosh. So hands up here, they come down, dog looks at me. Come by. Yes. All right. And when he's correct, I just drop my hand. If he goes before I say anything, I lift him back up. Wait a minute. Yes. Super. Wait a minute. He's so intense. Come by. So after he knows those, which usually takes a while, then we start putting them and moving them a little bit. Okay, come here. Come here. There. Attaboy. You are so happy to work there. Come by. Yes. Come here. Wait a minute. Yes. Nice. Then back to the center. Wait a minute. Yes. Good job. Wait a minute. Yes. Nice. Come by. Yes. Super. Super boy. Okay, get it. Good job. Good job. So once we have that done, then, forgot where I put cones. We start moving that around cones. So, there we go. So you don't need a lot of room to do this, but we'll just start here. Sir, here. Come by. Yes. See, he already knows this, so he's not going to worry about the targets. Wait a minute. Yes. But if your dog didn't know they would be going to the targets, then we'd move the targets farther around like this. The dog's going farther, and then I either take them away or just fade them, make them smaller till they disappear. So that is a quick overview of teaching the flank cue statically. And now I'll show you how I do it by teaching the movement first. So for this, you only need cones. And get your dog following your hand. Free. Yes. Nice. And if you need to, you can put a treat in your hand and lure him. Yes. And pretty soon, no treat, and they still follow. Yes. Super. Once they're doing that, they're just following your hand, then we're going to add a cue. Up to now, it's been pretty easy because your dog has just been following your physical cues. When you want the dog to circle clockwise, you can give that a verbal cue. And counterclockwise would be a different cue. And I always think of the circling from above, like I'm in a plane or a helicopter or a drone, and I'm looking down at a clock face. So clockwise is this way. And I call it anti-clockwise because that way I can give cues that match, or I can use cues. So I can use, for this clockwise, I might use circle. And for anti-clockwise, I might use arc. And the A in the anti and the A in anti and arc, and C in clockwise and circle. They match up. So when I start to think, oh, that's clockwise, oh, it starts with a C. That's anti-clockwise, my cue starts with an A. So that helps me to remember because it can get confusing. So the way you start teaching this is you start by giving the cue and then doing the hand signal. So the way you add a cue is you get the dog up and motivated, which he isn't yet, and then you say like circle, and then you ask him to circle. And when he goes that way, maybe a quarter circle, then you say yes and give him a treat. So you do that. And I think it would be probably easiest to start with just one direction and till your dog was going on that cue. So in other words, in the beginning you'd say circle, and then you'd do this, and the dog will wait for your hand signal. But eventually you will say circle, and the dog will start to go. As soon as you see them even turn their head in the correct direction, yes, and feed them, because they're getting the idea. Circle means clockwise, go circle that direction. And eventually you will give the cue circle, and you just pause for a second and give them a chance to make a decision. Do they understand? That means go clockwise. And like I said, as soon as you see them turn their head or take a step in that direction, yes, feed. And eventually you'll say circle, your dog will start circling, you'll let him go farther, and then you'll feed him, yes, and feed. And eventually then you drop the hand cue because you don't need it. You say circle, the dog starts circling. You say circle, the dog starts circling, and then you say yes, and you can feed. And once your dog will circle one direction on cue, then start working on the other direction. And the same way. First you say the cue, pause for just a beat, and then the hand signal. As soon as you have done that several times, and you don't need to go very far because you just want the dog to start in that direction. You don't want him to go very far, and you'll get in a lot more repetitions if you just go a quarter of a circle instead of all the way around. And the same thing, you do that, and you might say arc, just so be arc, and then this. As soon as you make any move, the dog's going to cue on your movement because your movement is more salient or valuable to your dog than a verbal word is, because we talk all the time and they don't pay that much attention because it's just blah, 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 blah. So you have to make this salient or important to them. So I'll show you with Sir, and kind of asleep there. But that's the whole idea. Once you have both directions on cue, then you can start mixing them up. And if your dog goes the wrong direction, you just stop. So if you say circle and your dog goes that way, you just, say mirror and call them back, or just turn away from them, and that will usually stop them. Okay, you ready? So Sir doesn't know these cues. He has different cues for circling, so he won't know these at all. So you'll see how it goes. He's pretty sleepy. I'm not sure he's up for it. Are you up for it? Get it. Find it. Good boy. Good boy. You ready? Okay, ready? Circle. Yes. He's like, I've never heard that word. Circle. Yeah, this way, so it means something. Not sure. Circle. Yes. Circle. Yes. Super. Super dog. Super dog. Super dog. Super dog. Very good. Circle. Yes. Nice. Nice. Circle. Yes. Good job. Good job. Circle. Yes. Okay, now I'm going to try the other way. Now he's going this way, so this should be harder. Arc. Yes. You figure out that's the other way already? Arc. I think he was watching my shoulders, and I turned my shoulders before I gave the word. Arc. Yes. So I might have been cueing him with my shoulders, which, like I said, they're going to read your body a lot better than your verbal. Arc. Yes. So let's see if I was doing that the other way. Or maybe you just like going that way better. Bang. There. Circle. Yeah, you got that one. Okay. Arc. Yeah, look at you. Woohoo, woohoo, good job. Arc. All right. So if your dog hasn't ever learned verbal cues, or many, if your dog doesn't have many, it's going to be more difficult. The more cues your dog knows, the quicker they pick up on those verbal words mean something, and then they're open to it. So if this is very difficult for your dog, just stick with it, have fun, make your sessions short, but if your dog knows quite a few cues, they pick it up very fast. And so that is really, that's so much fun. We're going to work on the stop. I suggest if you have a dog that is kind of pushy or a forward-moving dog, that you use a down. And if you have a sideways moving dog or kind of a sticky dog, use a stand. You want to use a down for a pushy dog because it's hard to get them to stop. And if they go down, they're going to stay a little better. And for the sideways moving dog or the sticky dog, if they go down, sometimes you can't get them up. They might clap, they call it, and they hit the ground, and they just get stuck there. So you really try and not stop them as much as you can. And if you do stop them, you try and use your stand instead of a down. So the first way we do it is with that I like to do it, is with a flirt pole. And so I'm going to use my small one. And I'm just going to put it out there, let the dog play, and then I'm going to lift it high over his head and put it as far away from him as I can. I usually use a longer flirt pole for this, but in here, this is about the biggest flirt pole I can use. So be sure when you use a flirt pole, if you put it down and you fly it back to your hand, you fly it quickly. You don't want to have it hanging about here or actually here because the dog can jump for it. To them, this is prey and they want it. So we don't want them to jump and hurt themselves. Okay. Get it. Get it. Good job. Oh yeah, this is the good stuff. This is the good stuff. Get it. Okay, good boy. Okay. Mine. So before you can use a flirt pole, the dog has to get it when you ask and release when you ask. And he's pretty good at that. So, get it. Okay, this time when I'm going to release him to it, but as soon as he starts, I'm going to put it behind him. Get it. So he knows as soon as it flies over to stop. Get it. And your dog may try and get it several times. As long as you are quick and don't let him get it, then pretty soon they're going to say, wait a second, how do I get this? What's going on? So let's try it again. Come over here. Get it. Good job. Good job, good job, good job. Mine. Get it. Walk. Get it. So he has done this before. You might have to flip it several times, but it's a good way to teach a dog a stand. I could also do it with a down, but he's used to a stand. So that's a way to do it with a flirt pole. And now we're going to do it with a target mat. There. Okay, so the first thing I do is get him to get on it. And if I'm going to use down, I would just down. And I would feed a lot on this. Okay, free. And then I'd go back to it. Down. Nice. Good boy. Feed a lot. We want this to be a really favorable place that he likes to be. Free. Nice. So now he even offered the down. Good job. Free. Get it. Okay, now I'm going to move it a little bit. Sir, here, get it. Try it again. Yes. Down. Nice. Got to remember what I'm doing. Okay. Here. Nice. Super. Super dog. Okay, come here. Good boy. So your dog should already know down before you get to this. What do you think? Close. Try again. What do you think? Nice. Okay. So the next thing I like to do, free. Nice. Okay. Good job. Good job. Down. Nice. Good job. Come here. What do you think? Okay. We haven't done this before, so not like this. Down. Nice. Oops, sorry. Good job. Good job. Good job. Okay, get it. Down. Nice. Okay, come on. Down. Super. Okay. Super, 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 super dog. Super dog. Free. Come on. Nice. Yes. Okay, come on. See if we can get you to do it both ways. Nice. Okay. Come here. So we're just building history for this mat. Nice. That's it. That's it. That's it. Free. Super. 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 Okay, come on. So now I'm going to tell him to do it. Down. Super dog. Super dog. Super dog. Free. Atta boy. Down. Super dog. Free. Down. Great. Awesome. Sir, here. Try it again. Down. Super. So the next thing I would do is start fading the mat. I'm going to try it without the mat, but I would do this a lot, take a lot longer. Get it? So we'll get rid of the mat, and we're going to try it again. So we'll just go here. Yeah. Down. Super. Okay. Down. Super. Free. Down. No, he says, I don't think so. Okay, come on, try again. Come on. Down. Nice. Give you extras for that one. Good job, good job, good job, good job. Okay. Come here. Down. Excellent. Lots of treats for those. Sir, here. Good job. Down. Oh, he says I wasn't planning that. Okay. Down. Nice. Super. Come here. Down. Says I gotta stop, but I don't have it down. Come here. Down. Down. Nice. So in other words, you just would keep doing this until you got him to stop, and you could run by and sometimes not have him stop and sometimes have him. And then, sir, here. Then I'd, what do I want to say? Make it more fluent. Here, down, and practice it other places. Here, good boy. Here, down. Yes, here. Come here, let's try this other once more. Hey, down. No, you got to stop, but we don't have it down. So anyhow, that's how you would do it. Come here. There. Sir, here. Down. Nice. And often I bring the food back to the dog because I want him to stay in that down till he's released. Free. So those are two ways that we can work on the stop. And if you do it with this, with the target, you can also do the there. And there just means you can stand, sit, or lie down. So he's still correct if he does that. Okay, come here. There. Yep, that's good. Come on. See if we can do it. There. Nice. So he knows it's there much more than moving down. But that's the idea. Good job. Okay, great boy. Good boy. Get it. The final herding skill we're going to work on is the walk-in. Sir's going to help with this. I like to teach it with a flirt pole. And now he knows it, so it makes a big difference, but hopefully you can get the idea. Okay, over here. That's a good dog. Oh yeah, good boy. Good boy. So before we had him where it would go down, he would stop. And he waits for a cue to get it. So he will stay there. But what I do is I release the dog. If you have a release cue, then you can use that. Free. Yes. And when he's moving, yes. Get it. Nice. I'm saying yes when he's moving because that's what I'm trying to get him to do. When he's walking nicely. If he's running, I'm probably not going to say yes. And if he stops, I'm not going to say yes. Free. Yes. Free. Yes. Walk. 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 Get it. He waits for get it. And the reason I do it that way is because if I say yes, and that's his release cue, then he's always going to go and grab the squirrel or the rat or the toy as soon as I say yes. So for me, yes, and for him, yes is not a release. It's just a reinforcer. It says you're doing correctly. It's kind of a keep going signal. And then he has to wait for get it. All right. Now let's say he doesn't want to move. So I'm not going to say anything to him. I'm not going to release him, and I'm going to see if I can get him to move. He's pretty well trained. Free. Get it. So another thing you can do is, good job, good job, good job. Mine is once you start getting the dog to move, you can start adding your cue, and then you can start eventually dragging the flirt-poled rat away from him to get a farther walk. Walk. Get it. And then when they have that, get it, get it, get it. You didn't get to play with it much. Yes. There's got to be some fun in here. Yes. Yes. There's got to be some fun. Fine. Walk in. Walk in. Yes, get it. Then you start moving. Now remember, if you're doing it on your left side, then you want to do it on the other side. Over here. There. Walk in. Yes. Walk, walk. Get it. And so you always want to do it on both sides. And with a bigger flirt pole, you can, a longer one, you can have the rat much farther away from you. Another thing you can do is kind of combine. Come over here. There. Walk in. There. Yes. So there I reinforce the stop by bringing the rat back to him rather than having him move towards the rat. So that's one way to work on the walk-in with a flirt pole. So let's see. Another way is with a tug. And some people, their dogs don't like to use flirt poles, or they don't like them, don't have one, whatever. So I just use a tug. Get it. Yes. And let the dog get it. Mine. Get it. Okay, so now he's running. I don't really want him running at it. So I'm going to change my position a little bit. Mine. I'm going to lean over it. Yes. Free. Yes. Get it. So by moving my body, kind of bending over it, free. Mine. There. I'm increasing like makes him a little uncomfortable. Free. Yes. Get it. So that he can walk in towards it, but he isn't going to run. Because I'm trying to get a nice, steady pace. Mine. Good boy. There. Back. No, that's not back. Back. Thank you. There. Walk in. Attaboy. Attaboy. Come on. Get it. Super. 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 Mine. Thank you. Then eventually you can just hold it out. Walk in. Attaboy. Get it. Super dog. Super dog. Super dog. Mine. Walk in. Get it. Walk in. Walk. Come here. Did I say get it? I didn't say get it. Mine. Walking. Attaboy. Come on. Attaboy. Come on. Walk. Get it. Attaboy. So anyhow, that's another way. If you don't use a flirt pole, use a target. And like I said, sometimes I'll sit in a chair because it changes the whole picture for the dog and makes them a little uncertain. And so they're not really afraid, but they're like, what's going on? I don't know. I'm going to be a little cautious. And then they'll come in just like you want them to. And then you can catch that and mark it and reinforce it by letting them tug. So that's now the 3 ways, the 3 basic herding skills, the flanks, the stop, the walk in, and 2 different ways to teach each one. So if those don't work for you, we'll modify them or come up with something completely different. All right, good job. Thanks so much.